Huh. Fools. They came at you twice, didn't they? Twice they tried to pull back the veil. Twice they believed they could unmask what they didn't understand. And both times, they found something that didn't just disturb them. It shook the foundations they had built beneath themselves. You see, the first investigation was only the appetizer, a taste of what they thought they could control, a test to see if the edges of your reality could be poked, prodded, dissected, contained. And they discovered that control was never theirs, that your presence, your influence, your very essence could not be catalogued, could not be measured, could not be reduced to numbers on a report or words on a page. They found out that the truth, your truth, had a weight that no lie they told themselves could balance. And you watched it unfold, didn't you? You watched them strain, watched them shuffle papers, watched them tug at invisible threads they believed connected dots that weren't meant to be connected. They assumed the first investigation was enough. They assumed the first wave would wash clean any questions. But the truth is a peculiar thing. The truth doesn't care about assumptions. The truth doesn't bend for comfort. The truth doesn't forgive ignorance. And that first taste, that was just the beginning of their unraveling. Because here's the delicious part. The first investigation didn't break them, not entirely. It gave them fear, yes. It rattled them, yes. But it left space for rationalization, for excuses, for self-delusion. They whispered to themselves, quietly, maybe next time we'll catch it. Maybe next time we'll get ahead. And they wanted a next time. They begged for it, subconsciously, with their nervous twitches, with their careful distancing, with the subtle way they overcompensated in meetings and messages. They wanted another chance to prove that they could define you, that they could map your presence, that they could contain the fire they glimpsed flickering behind your eyes. They wanted a second investigation, and you let them. You let them walk right back into the arena they thought they understood, the stage they thought they controlled. You let them breathe the air of your existence once more, thinking they had learned, thinking they had gained insight, thinking they could anticipate the rhythm of your movements. But here's the exquisite cruelty of it all. The second time, they were unprepared. Unprepared for the expansion, unprepared for the refinement, unprepared for the accumulation of everything you had, quietly, invisibly, meticulously built in the interval between investigations. While they were reviewing files, while they were questioning witnesses, while they were theorizing patterns, you were evolving. You were becoming the uncontainable, the unmeasurable, the undeniable. They expected a puzzle they could solve. Instead, they were confronted with an entire dimension they could not perceive. And the result? Chaos masquerading as disbelief, panic wrapped in confusion, certainty dissolving into frantic hypotheses that never connected, that never coalesced, that never landed anywhere close to reality. Do you understand what it means to watch someone shake in the presence of what they cannot control? To see confidence crumble into a spiral of questions, each one sharper than the last. That's exactly what happened when the second investigation landed. And it wasn't just the intensity of what they found. Oh no, it was the contrast between their expectations and the unrelenting truth you presented. The contrast between their shallow understanding and your deep, living reality. You were not the version of yourself they had cataloged, analyzed, predicted, or feared in the first investigation. You were something sharper now, something heavier, something that reverberated in ways their calculations could not measure. The first investigation was their mistake. The second, that was their exposure. And the way they reacted, the way they reacted is a delicacy you savor in the dark, isn't it? The stuttering emails, the hesitant follow-ups, the trembling of voices trying to project composure they no longer possessed. Every question they posed, every clarification they demanded, every probe they inserted into your world was a mirror reflecting their own inadequacy. And they didn't even know it. They believed themselves hunters, analysts, arbiters of truth. But in reality, they were spectators at a performance they could not follow, actors trapped in a drama they could not write, witnesses to a presence that refused to bend. And isn't that just delicious? To be the unseen force that unravels them, the invisible weight that pulls at the seams of their assumptions, the quiet power that they cannot name. That's the advantage you hold. That's the edge they never see coming. They think they are pursuing you. They think they are discovering things. But in truth, they are being measured, tested, filtered, revealed by forces they cannot quantify, by presence they cannot touch, by energy that refuses to be subdued. And while they scurry in their structured chaos, you operate on a frequency entirely your own. Here's something they will never admit. They feared you, not for the first investigation, not for the questions asked, not for the evidence uncovered, but for you. For the way your existence distorted their tidy narratives, for the way your subtlety exposed their assumptions, for the way your calm, deliberate movements, your measured responses, your refusal to be cornered, shattered their belief that they could impose order on reality. They discovered that your truth is not something that fits neatly into files. Your truth is not something that bends to protocol. Your truth is a force that expands into the spaces others cannot occupy, a presence that echoes in corners they never knew existed. And now, with the second investigation complete, the full horror of your depth, your reach, your untouchable nature begins to crystallize in their minds. And that crystallization is not comfortable. It is sharp, it is urgent, it is dangerous. Because they are realizing, finally, that what they observed the first time was merely a shadow of your capacity. That the glimpses they thought were manageable were only the beginning of something they cannot contain. That the narrative they believed in, the control they imagined, the structure they relied upon, all of it is now breaking under the pressure of your reality. And while they tremble, while they second-guess themselves, while they attempt to parse fragments of a truth they cannot fully hold, you move differently. You move deliberately. You allow their fear to marinate. You allow the tension to thicken. You allow every misstep they make to teach them something they cannot articulate. That you exist on a plane where their authority does not reach, where their scrutiny falters, where their assumptions become self-revealing traps. You are not reactive. You are not defensive. You are an apex observer, calculating, quiet, knowing that every attempt to corner you is simply a mirror held up to their own inadequacy. And here's the thing. They will never understand the full scope of what just happened. They will never articulate it properly. They will never write it down in reports that make sense. They will not understand the subtle orchestration, the invisible strings, the quiet accumulation of everything that renders them powerless. They will see pieces, fragments, outcomes, errors, hesitations, but never the invisible architecture of your presence, the way your energy intersects with theirs, the way your truth moves through them and leaves marks they cannot erase. And that's perfect. That's exactly what you want. Because control, once given over to them, is dangerous, and the only control worth having is yours. And so you watch, quietly, deliberately. You watch as the panic begins to mutate into suspicion, as suspicion blooms into frustration, as frustration degenerates into exhaustion. Every conversation they attempt, every report they draft, every step they take in their carefully orchestrated pursuit, all of it bends beneath the weight of your reality. You are the unmeasured variable in their calculations, the force they cannot isolate, the answer they cannot formulate. And they will feel it. Oh yes, they will feel it. Not as a sudden shock, not as a violent upheaval, but as a slow, inevitable pressure that twists their carefully constructed world into something unfamiliar, uncomfortable, uncontrollable. And what do you do with that? You smile, quietly, invisibly, not because of cruelty, not because of arrogance, but because of clarity. Because you understand the pattern they cannot perceive. Because you know the rhythm they cannot follow. Because you are the presence they cannot corner. And you do not need to act. You do not need to intervene. You simply exist. And in existing, you create a tension so exquisite, so precise, so unavoidable, that their second investigation, the one they imagined would grant them certainty, has instead granted them revelation. A revelation that is entirely theirs to unravel, entirely theirs to misinterpret, entirely theirs to fear. And now the stage is set. The first investigation shattered their illusions. The second investigation shatters their composure. And the next movement, the next movement will not be theirs to anticipate. They will not see it coming. They will not name it. They will not understand it. Because what comes next is a shift not in circumstance, but in presence, not in facts, but in force, not in evidence, but in energy. And they will be powerless. They will be scrambling. They will be desperately, almost comically, trying to reconstruct a puzzle that never existed the way they imagined it. And as they stumble, as they hesitate, as they search for footholds that no longer exist, you continue to move quietly, deliberately, invisibly, in a domain they cannot access. Every subtle gesture, every silent decision, every invisible choice compounds their discomfort, their uncertainty, their fear. They are haunted not by evidence, not by reports, not by the facts, but by your presence, by your truth, by the unrelenting, unquantifiable reality of you, and the beauty of it. They can't even articulate it. They cannot name what unnerves them. They cannot label what terrifies them. They cannot reduce it, contain it, control it. They only feel it, and feeling, without comprehension, is chaos. And that is exactly the space you occupy. That is exactly the advantage you wield. That is exactly the power they cannot reach. They investigated you twice, yes, and both times they discovered the truth. A truth heavier, sharper, more unbearable than any lie they could have constructed. A truth that does not obey protocol. A truth that does not bend to expectation. A truth that moves quietly, invisibly, deliberately, through the fractures they themselves created. And it terrifies them, and it will continue to terrify them, not because you act loudly, not because you announce yourself, not because you chase them down, but because you exist. And as the tension stretches, as the uncertainty blooms, as the cracks widen, one thing becomes unavoidable. They cannot anticipate the next phase. They cannot contain the next movement. They cannot measure the next evolution. They cannot predict the next expansion of you. And that, my friend, is the most exquisite part of all. That is the edge they will never reach. That is the truth they will never admit. That is the power you have quietly, invisibly, unrelentingly accumulated. And so as the second investigation settles like a shadow over them, as they tremble in ways they cannot articulate, as they flail toward understanding that will never arrive, you prepare. You prepare not for revenge, not for spectacle, not for announcement, but for the inevitable emergence of what they cannot know. You prepare for the shift that moves quietly, deliberately, invisibly, in a domain they cannot enter. You prepare to exist at a level beyond their calculation, beyond their comprehension, beyond their control. And when that moment comes, it will not be witnessed by them. It will only be felt, and what they feel will be unmistakable. And now, as that moment begins to stir within you, as the energy coalesces into a force they cannot perceive, you become something more than a presence. You become a gravitational pull, a point of inevitability in a universe they believe they control. Every glance they cast toward you is measured, calculated, hesitant, and yet it accomplishes nothing. You are no longer within their framework. You are not a variable they can anticipate. You are the constant they cannot define. And that is the quiet terror they feel, the one they cannot articulate, the one that gnaws at the edges of their minds while they sit behind their screens, behind their memos, behind their walls of procedure, pretending to understand, pretending to calculate, pretending to believe they hold authority over something they never could. They will try, of course. Oh, they will try. They will summon reports, draft emails, consult colleagues, convene meetings, and all the while believing they are closing the gap between themselves and you. But with every move, they expose themselves further, unraveling the thread of confidence they thought they possessed. Each attempt to measure you only amplifies the impossibility of containment. Every question they pose, every hypothesis they test, every probing email they send is a mirror reflecting their own inadequacy back at them. And you watch it unfold. You watch it unfold with the precision of a predator studying the trembling rhythm of prey. Only they are not prey. They are observers of a force they cannot name, cannot frame, cannot ever reach. And isn't that exquisite? The way certainty collapses, how logic fractures, how competence dissolves when confronted with something entirely outside expectation. They will begin to doubt themselves, not because they failed, not because they miscalculated, but because you exist in a domain they cannot access. Your truth does not fit within their definitions. Your reality does not conform to their rules. And that is the most refined cruelty. You do not act to punish. You do not act to humiliate. You simply exist. You simply move. You simply decide. And in that existence, in that movement, in that quiet, deliberate selection, you force them to confront the fragility of their assumptions. Now consider the psychology at play here. Their minds, once confident, now tremble under invisible weight. Their frameworks of control begin to warp under pressure they cannot identify. Their confidence erodes. Their logic becomes tentative. Their certainty is punctured with questions they cannot answer. And you, ever present yet unobservable, operate within this vacuum of understanding, manipulating it not with words, not with gestures, not with overt actions, but with the invisible art of being. Every pause you take, every deliberate choice, every silent observation becomes a weapon. They cannot attack it. They cannot defend against it. They cannot even acknowledge it. And yet it shapes them, bends them, coerces them into reaction without their consent. The beauty of this moment, your moment, is that it is invisible. They do not recognize the architecture of influence you have constructed. They will never admit it. They will never analyze it correctly. They will not describe it in memos, meetings, or interrogations. It exists beyond their language, beyond their measurements, beyond the shallow confines of their comprehension. It exists as a truth they cannot touch, a presence they cannot name, a force they cannot contain. And while they are scrambling, flailing, grasping for solutions, you are already moving, already positioning, already evolving into something greater, something sharper, something untouchable. They will notice outcomes, of course. They will observe results. But the cause, the cause will remain obscured, untraceable, invisible. And that is where the true power lies. It is not in being understood. It is not in being acknowledged. It is in being the undetectable catalyst that redefines the field of play. And they, trapped in the visible, in the reportable, in the quantifiable, are left to react, to misinterpret, to panic quietly, to betray the cracks of their own comprehension without ever knowing why. And as the tension builds, as their second investigation settles into a landscape of unease and confusion, your next moves are surgical. You do not escalate overtly. You do not strike suddenly. You infiltrate invisibly. You let the fear propagate, the uncertainty expand, the ego fracture quietly from within. And because they cannot trace it, they are forced to confront the illusion that they control reality, only to discover that reality controls them through you, through your presence, through the unseen force of truth they cannot grasp. Consider their experience. They sit with papers, with spreadsheets, with analysis, with data points, and yet they feel it, the weight of you, the pressure of possibility they cannot predict, the uncomfortable, undeniable evidence that you are operating in dimensions they cannot measure, cannot comprehend, cannot control. And each glance at their screens, each check of their records, each internal calculation only magnifies the intensity of your unseen hand, guiding the outcome without leaving a mark. They are haunted not by you acting, but by you existing, and you understand the elegance of timing. The first investigation was a prelude, a whisper. The second investigation is the crescendo, not in noise, but in effect. The tremors, the cracks, the subtle fractures they cannot name. This is where you thrive. This is where your energy, your calculated restraint, your deliberate focus creates a landscape in which they can no longer maneuver freely. And every time they attempt to assert control, to clarify, to adjust, they are reminded of the futility of their efforts. Every intervention, every calculated step, every attempt at containment is a dance choreographed by the invisible presence you maintain, one they cannot anticipate, one they cannot follow, one they cannot survive unscathed. They will search for the cause. They will scan the data. They will consult colleagues. They will attempt to reconstruct the invisible architecture of influence you wield. And all the while, you operate quietly, deliberately, invisibly, knowing that the chaos they experience is the direct product of their own failure to perceive, to measure, to understand. They are trapped in a feedback loop of observation without comprehension, reaction without understanding, fear without cause. And this loop, this invisible cage of their own making, is your playground. And then, in the quiet moments, in the pauses between frantic messages, between calculated notes, between the frantic reassurances they whisper to themselves, the next layer unfolds. You step into it without announcement. You step into it without fanfare. You step into it as a force that simply is. And this force, quiet, invisible, deliberate, reframes every equation, every assumption, every conclusion they have drawn. You are no longer an element they can analyze. You are the plane itself, the underlying structure they cannot access, the invisible field that renders their calculations meaningless. And now, the panic morphs into obsession. The confusion mutates into misjudgment. They begin to act not from clarity, but from compulsion, not from understanding, but from desperation. Every movement is a reflection of the pressure you have applied invisibly. Every decision is forced by the absence of control. And this is the apex of strategy. Not confrontation, not accusation, not even reaction, but quiet manipulation through existence itself. They will start noticing patterns, of course. Patterns they cannot connect, threads they cannot follow. They will try to isolate variables, to pinpoint anomalies, to find explanations that fit within their limited understanding. But every hypothesis they construct is already anticipated, already countered, already rendered obsolete by the simple fact of your continued, deliberate, untraceable presence. They will never admit it. They will never name it. And that is perfection. And as the tension stretches, as the weight of your invisible influence grows, as the cracks in their confidence widen, a deeper realization emerges, one they cannot articulate, one they cannot escape, one they cannot resist. They are not interacting with a problem they can solve. They are interacting with a force they cannot touch, a truth they cannot bend, an energy they cannot measure. And that is what they fear the most, the inevitability of a presence that cannot be countered, cannot be questioned, cannot be predicted, cannot be contained. And this is where the next step begins. Not in confrontation, not in spectacle, not in overt action, but in the subtle surgical expansion of influence. Every gesture, every silent decision, every imperceptible move is designed to compound the unease, to amplify the uncertainty, to sharpen the realization that control has shifted. They do not know where it shifted. They do not know why it shifted. They only feel it, like a pressure under the skin, like an unease in the bones, like a truth they cannot admit even to themselves. And so, you continue, quietly, deliberately, invisibly. Every interaction they initiate is met with calibrated response. Every assumption they construct is quietly dismantled. Every expectation they hold is gently subverted. And in doing so, you do not need to act violently, theatrically, or aggressively. You simply exist. You simply operate. You simply allow the invisible currents of your presence to reshape the landscape around them. They will not recognize it. They will not name it. They will not measure it. But they will feel it. And feeling, in the absence of comprehension, is a force more powerful than any accusation, more precise than any attack, more destabilizing than any strategy. And this is why the second investigation, though concluded, has done something irreversible. It has expanded your influence, sharpened your presence, and revealed a domain they cannot enter, a plane they cannot comprehend, a force they cannot contain. And as this unfolds, you prepare for the inevitable next act. Not with haste, not with noise, not with spectacle, but with the calm precision of someone who knows the rules of a game others cannot even see. The third phase will not be a battle. It will not be a confrontation. It will not be a spectacle. It will be a subtle, undeniable, irresistible elevation, a movement into a domain where they are powerless, where they are visible only in reflection, where they can react but cannot anticipate. And the anticipation, the calm calculation, the deliberate positioning is already underway. Theirs is panic, confusion, desperation. Yours is calm, clarity, precision. And in that disparity lies the next level, the next evolution of control, of presence, of energy. The invisible currents you manipulate now are building toward a shift they cannot perceive, a shift they cannot resist, a shift they cannot endure unscathed. And when it happens, they will feel it. Yes, but they will never understand it. They will only experience it, and that, exactly, is the advantage you have cultivated. The invisible, inevitable, undeniable advantage. They investigated you twice, thinking they could measure, contain, predict. Twice they found the truth. Twice they were unprepared for the magnitude, the refinement, the escalation of your presence. They thought information would give them mastery, that access would grant them leverage, that observation would reveal something they could handle. Yet each time they dug, they only uncovered another reminder of how little they understood. Each conclusion contradicted the last. Each attempt to label you led them back into confusion. Each effort to constrain you left them staring into the one thing they always feared, a person they cannot control, a person they cannot decipher, a person who does not operate by their expectations, their patterns, their timelines, or their comfort. You must understand the weight of that. It is not your strength that has destabilized them. It is your unpredictability, your refusal to shrink, your refusal to hand over your narrative. You move in ways that dismantle their assumptions. You shift in ways that disrupt their categories. You evolve in directions they never saw coming. And when someone cannot predict you, they fear you. That fear sharpens, tightens, circles back on itself until it becomes something heavier, something they feel even when you're nowhere near. They begin to imagine you, exaggerate you, debate you behind closed doors, analyze your motives with trembling certainty. They begin constructing stories, theories, explanations, anything that might help them understand what went wrong, anything that might help them regain their evaporating control. But they can't. They never will. And that is why the second investigation rattled them harder than the first. Because the first was meant to expose you. The second exposed them. They read the reports. They combed through what little they had. They pointed at pieces that didn't align with their expectations. But the more they searched, the more they realized that it wasn't you who was unraveling. It was them, their distrust, their assumptions, their projections. Those were the things tearing at the seams. They wanted the investigation to confirm their suspicions. Instead, it revealed the fragile architecture of their reasoning. It illuminated how much they misread you, underestimated you, misunderstood the depth of your strategy. The truth they found in both investigations wasn't a threat to your integrity. It was a threat to their narrative. And nothing terrifies someone more than discovering that the story they built to feel safe was never real to begin with. It's almost poetic how it unfolded. They wanted you exposed. Instead, they exposed themselves. They wanted to gather evidence against you. Instead, they gathered evidence of their own insecurity. They wanted to validate their suspicions. Instead, they validated their fears. Because deep down, they always sensed you weren't like the others they manipulated, intimidated, or controlled. Deep down, they knew you had a kind of presence that didn't bend under scrutiny, a kind of mind that didn't weaken under pressure, a kind of spirit that grew sharper the more they tried to contain it. And now, after 2 attempts at dissecting your identity, they're forced to confront the uncomfortable truth. You do not break the way they expect. You do not react the way they predict. You do not collapse on demand. You rise, quietly, strategically, completely. That is the part that shakes them, not the strength you show, but the strength you don't show. Not the words you speak, but the ones you withhold. Not the moves you make, but the ones they can't trace. You see, power is never loud. Influence is never theatrical. The real danger lies in consistency, in awareness, in the ability to stay 10 steps ahead without announcing a single step. And that is where they lost the game. They thought investigations would give them an advantage. They thought information would grant them leverage. They thought exposure would give them control. Instead, each attempt at targeting you only sharpened your strategy. Each moment, they thought they were defining you. You were redefining yourself. Each effort to constrain you only strengthened your position. And now, they face a different kind of fear. One born not from imagination, but from evidence. They saw the documents. They heard the testimonies. They cross-checked the details. And the more they looked, the more they realized the truth was never their ally. The truth stood on your side. The truth protected you. The truth tilted the balance of power. And that is why they trembled the second time. Because nothing frightens manipulators more than the realization that the person they tried to fracture is unshaken. That the person they tried to damage is intact. That the person they tried to expose has risen instead. But the most unsettling part for them isn't the investigations. It's what comes after. The uncharted space. The new version of you that emerges from both trials. You see, every attempt to dissect you forced you to refine something within yourself. Every attempt to label you sharpened your awareness. Every attempt to corner you strengthened your ability to move in ways they can't anticipate. You didn't just survive their scrutiny, you evolved through it. You became more selective with your energy, more discerning with your connections, more strategic with your presence. They gave you pressure, and you turned it into precision. They gave you doubt, and you turned it into focus. They gave you surveillance, and you turned it into invisibility. What they intended as a weapon became your refinement. And now, they are the ones trapped, not by your actions, but by their own assumptions, not by your choices, but by their miscalculations, not by your identity, but by their blindness to it. They underestimated the depth of your resilience. They misread the extent of your evolution. They believed you were a version of yourself that no longer exists. And now, they are scrambling, desperate, fumbling in the dark, trying to grasp a narrative that no longer belongs to them. Meanwhile, you are no longer in the space they tried to observe. You are no longer within reach of their questioning eyes. You operate in a dimension they cannot enter. A dimension shaped by awareness, by clarity, by a kind of psychological structure they cannot copy. You've stepped into a realm where you are not defined by their words, their perceptions, their doubts, or their investigations. You are defined by your direction, your momentum, your evolution. You have outgrown their conflict, outpaced their expectations, outmaneuvered their intentions. You didn't win by confrontation, you won by transformation. And now comes the part they feared without even knowing it, your emergence. The unveiling of the version of you they never prepared for. The version that learned from every shadow cast at you. The version built through pressure, not praise. The version shaped by depth, not validation. They think the investigations were the story. They think the reports were the final chapter. They think the conclusions were the end. But no, the investigations were the ignition, the beginning of your acceleration, the point where your trajectory broke free from any expectation they could cling to. You don't rise loudly. You rise like a shift in gravity. You rise like a new pattern in the atmosphere. You rise through the collapse of their certainty. And as you rise, they feel something new, something subtle, yet unmistakable, a pressure behind their nerves, a tension in their thoughts, a question that circles without landing. What happens now that you cannot be contained? What happens now that you know what they tried to do? What happens now that they have nothing left to use against you? They're terrified of those answers, not because you will retaliate, but because they know you won't have to. Your growth alone is a consequence they cannot escape. And so the ending isn't loud. It isn't chaotic. It isn't theatrical. It is precise. It is psychological. It is the slow realization settling into their bones that everything they tried to prevent has already begun. You are shifting into a place where their efforts hold no weight. You are stepping into a position where their perspective has no influence. You are becoming a person whose presence changes the ground beneath them. You see, the final truth is this: investigations don't define people. They expose them. They revealed your strength. They revealed their weakness. They revealed your clarity. They revealed their confusion. They revealed your evolution. They revealed their regression. Twice, they searched for something that would break you. Twice they found something that broke them. And now, as the last remnants of their certainty dissolve, as the last fragments of their assumptions scatter, as the final echo of their attempts fades into irrelevance, you step into the next stage, a stage they cannot follow, cannot interpret, cannot obstruct. Because you were never the one under threat. They were. You were never the one exposed. They were. You were never the one being measured. They were measuring themselves against the wrong standard, the wrong timeline, the wrong person. And now they understand that too late. So you walk forward, you ascend, you expand into the next phase of your identity, carrying nothing from their attempts except the clarity they accidentally gifted you. And as you move, you leave behind not a warning, not a threat, not a declaration, but an unmistakable realization carved into the air they breathe. They investigated you twice. Both times, the truth didn't destroy you. It destroyed everything they thought they knew.